Thor Ragnarok is the 17th installment into the Marvel Cinematic Universe and is directed by the brilliant and hilarious director Taika Waititi, the man behind the films What We Do in the Shadows and Hunt for the Wilder People. This film again follows Thor after he is imprisoned by the Grand Master on Sakaar, a gladiatorial planet in which he must fight to survive. It is here where he teams up with some people from his past along with some new allies in order to defeat the goddess of death, Hela, from destroying Asgard. The Thor films have been considered by many to be some of the dullest projects that Marvel has given us thus far. Most opinions range from mediocre to just flat out bad, even though I believe that the first Thor film is better than a lot of other movies in Phase 1, most people typically don't like them. And after seeing Thor: The Dark World again last night, I can agree that that one's not that good, but I actually do like the first one quite a bit. But thankfully there is hope. As I said, this director, Taika Waititi, is one of the most promising up-and-coming filmmakers, and unlike a lot of other Disney properties, I feel like Marvel actually gave him the keys to this project and let him do some of the more strange things that he probably would be more inclined to put into a Marvel film, such as Thor Ragnarok. But thankfully, that did pay off. Thor Ragnarok is one of the best Marvel films to date. Without a doubt, the best thing about this film was what Taika Waititi was able to do with these rather lackluster films that the Thor movies have been thus far. A problem that I had had with the previous Thor films and the route that Marvel had taken is I feel like those films are not as weird as they should be with Thor, and I feel like that's because he is a core Marvel character and they weren't ready to take the risks with other Marvel films like they did with Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange, some lesser known Marvel characters. And I think after the success of those films, Marvel kind of stepped back and said, okay, let's try to push the boundaries a bit more and try to make this character the really weird comic book superhero that he actually is. And narratively, they really do in this film. This is the Thor that we've been waiting for, one who is a literal god, who has some really strange elements in his comics. And one of those elements is actually in this film as kind of an Easter egg, and if you have your eyes peeled and are looking for things like that, then you probably will find it. And they also push the boundary with some of the jokes that they tell in this film, and at first I was a little bit surprised, but then I was like, oh yeah, Taika Waititi is directing this, never mind. And thankfully, Thor Ragnarok does what the Winter Soldier did for Captain America, and that is to invigorate a character who hasn't had as good as films as the heroes that are in them. Because Chris Hemsworth was always the best part of these movies. Chris Hemsworth as Thor was always a good element to these films. That part has never been in question. It's just the movie that he is in have been divisive at best. But again, Thor Ragnarok is exactly what this character needed. This is a delightfully entertaining superhero film. In fact, one of the most entertaining that Marvel has given us thus far. There's not a single scene or moment in this movie that dragged for me. This entire film moved along at this brisk pace. The Incredible Hulk is also in this film, and I don't want to spoil too much, but let's just say that since the last time that we've seen him, he's acting considerably different. Let me just say that there is a moment that has been hinted at in some of the trailers, and it's something that we've been waiting for about 5 years, a rematch that we've been wanting to see on the screen. It's something that we've all been looking forward to when anticipating this film, and it is oh so excellent. Absolutely well worth the wait. Tessa Thompson is also in this film, and she portrays Valkyrie, and she is great. Her character has this scarred past and a connection to one of the antagonists in this film, and that's something that I wasn't expecting. Her character had a lot more layers than I had anticipated going into this film. Let's talk about the villains in this film, one of which being Cate Blanchett as Hela and Jeff Goldblum as the Grand Master. Both of these actors bring so much to these roles, and Hela doesn't really go in the direction that I presumed that they were going to take her in, so I'm very curious to see how she fits into the remainder of the MCU. But she is a really sinister character with great fighting moments. She's a character that relishes in death and anguish, and boy does she kill a lot of folks in this movie. Let's talk about Jeff Goldblum as the Grand Master, or just pretty much Jeff Goldblum as he normally normally is in this movie. If you are going into this film expecting to see Jeff Goldblum really disappear into a role and be completely unrecognizable as this very sinister villain, then you're probably in the wrong place, because this is pretty much the Jeff Goldblumiest role that he's ever had. His character is full of stutters and these weird noises that only Jeff Goldblum can really pull off. I loved every single scene that he was in, and I think he completely stole the show. And really the only problem that I had with Thor Ragnarok leaving this film is there is a lot of exposition given in this film due to the very strange things that are actually happening, and sometimes the exposition is just laid on a little thick. I think that they could have done a better job at showing us some of the backstory as opposed to just kind of sitting the audience down and telling us. But even with that tiny problem, I thought Thor Ragnarok was exceptionally entertaining. This is easily the funniest Marvel movie to date, and a huge chunk of that is in thanks to the magnificent directing from Taika Waititi. This is easily one of my favorite Marvel movies to date, and it's up there with films like The Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy. Thor Ragnarok has quite literally re-energized the Thor franchise, and I can't believe that I'm saying this, but I'm actually looking forward to the next installment into the Thor films. So did you guys see Thor Ragnarok? What did you think about it? Leave your thoughts and opinions down below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you liked today's video, and if you did, click on the link down below and subscribe to my channel for more reviews and more related things. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.